Chapter 5: The Pattern and the Pledge. Daniel Mercer did not come to the church basement because he believed in ghosts, or because he needed a pastor to tell him what to do with his guilt. He came because 3 testimonies in 2 weeks had used the same impossible language, the same wrong feeling of time, the same certainty of a boundary, as if they had all pressed their palms against the same unseen wall. On his kitchen table, the notebook lay open beside his laptop. The screen was crowded with plots and timestamps, the kind of clean lines that made him trust the world. He had learned to trust numbers the way other men trusted instinct. Patterns did not care what you wanted to be true. At 1:12 a.m., his phone vibrated, once, then again, then kept going. The alert was from a feed he never silenced. Gravitational wave candidate, low confidence, unusual signature. Follow up recommended. He sat up, suddenly awake, not because the words were dramatic, they never were, but because the timestamp was familiar. Friday night. He pulled up the raw trace. A thin rise, then a dip, then a jagged flutter that should not have been there, like the signal had stumbled, like it had hit a seam in reality and scraped. The algorithm wanted to dismiss it. The tag said low confidence. The instruments always argued with each other before they agreed. Still, the shape of it made Daniel's scalp tighten, the way it did when he saw a contradiction that was not a mistake. He opened a second window, and then a third, matching clocks across systems, aligning the feeds the way he always did when he suspected noise. The anomaly did not disappear when he cleaned the data. It became clearer. Then he noticed what made his throat go dry. The flutter in the signal matched a sequence he had seen before, not in space, not in a lab, but in language, in the way certain people described the moment they realized time was not working right, a distinct absence, a forever moment, a sense of being on the other side of something. He stared at the screen until the lines blurred. The rational part of him tried to shrink it down into something safe, equipment jitter, local interference, a cosmic shrug. The part of him that had sat in that basement, watching faces as they listened, knew better. When the world repeats itself in different forms, it is not asking your permission to believe it. Daniel closed the laptop and reached for his keys. If this was nothing, he could live with that. If it was something, and it was reaching into a town like Ashford, he needed to be in the only place where people were already saying out loud what everyone else was still afraid to name. Downstairs, the basement had been rearranged. No circle, rows now, tight and practical, with a narrow aisle down the middle and extra chairs stacked along the wall like a quiet admission that the room could no longer pretend it was small. People filed in and chose seats the way they chose a seat in a courtroom, careful, spaced when they could be, shoulders squared when they couldn't. More and more visitors were starting to look like regulars, and the regulars were starting to look like they belonged there. Daniel slid into the last row, notebook on his knee. Elias stayed near the back, only long enough to welcome everyone. He wasn't above anyone, just responsible for what came next, then made his way to the pulpit with his Bible. "If you need to speak tonight," he said, "don't talk yourself out of it." A man near the aisle lifted his hand slightly, like asking permission to breathe. "My name is David Harper," he said. David Harper cleared his throat and kept his eyes down, like he didn't trust them to stay steady. "I'm going to do this quick," he said. "I'm not here for attention, and I'm praying it hits whoever needs it." He swallowed once. "One night, I went to sleep and woke up in a place that was pitch black. Not regular dark, darkness all around me, and fear on me, like it was a weight. I couldn't hear anything. I couldn't see anything. Just this hopelessness. like the air itself was telling me there's no way out. Then it was like spotlights started switching on, David said, voice tightening. People appeared around me, spaced out, and we couldn't see each other, couldn't reach each other. I tried to cry out, but nobody heard me. And then everybody started looking up. So I looked up too, and there was this huge black structure in the center, tall, like a monument, like a spike, and you couldn't even see the base of it. At the top, there was a light blinking slow, on and off, and every time it blinked, people got excited, chanting and celebrating like it was a party. I remember thinking, what is wrong with you? Why aren't you afraid? You don't even know where you are. His mouth went dry. The blinking got faster and faster until it stayed on, solid. Then everything went quiet, and we saw something falling toward us. It looked like light at first, he said, but it wasn't. When it touched my skin, I couldn't feel it at first, but I saw what it did. My skin started breaking down, like it was being eaten away. It was fire, lava. And then somebody screamed, this woman's scream, the most horrible sound I've ever heard. And it set off like a chain reaction. It stopped being drops and turned into a pour, like a river, like a flood, and it filled the whole place. Bodies everywhere, an ocean of bodies. And it was like the flesh was gone, and all you could see were souls. Eyes wide, mouths open, stacked on souls moving through it. And I knew where I was. David's hands clenched together, knuckles pale. When I woke up, I didn't understand why God would show me that, because I grew up in church. But then the Lord brought my own story back to me. From 8 to 11, I was molested, and I carried things I didn't know how to name, and I didn't know what love was supposed to look like, and the enemy used that. It planted a seed early, and it grew in secret. He drew a breath, and his voice dropped. And yes, part of what I've battled is homosexuality. He blinked hard. I'm not saying that to throw stones at anybody. I'm saying it because I believe God showed me what my path ends in if I keep walking it. So I'm begging whoever hears me, David said, lifting his eyes now, urgent. Don't let the world or your phone or your feelings write your identity. Don't call chains just who I am. Ask God who you are and go by his word. Carry your cross. Repent. Get help. Tell the truth in the light. God is real. The devil is real. Heaven is real. Hell is real. And if God is warning you, it's mercy because he's still giving you breath to turn around. The room held its breath after David spoke. Some of the visitors stared at the floor as if the linoleum might crack open. It wasn't only the vision, the falling lava eating skin, souls bared and drowning in an ocean of fire, but the part about that kind of love, the kind David said chained people below. Rinna felt her throat close. Was that enough to damn someone? The question hung unspoken, thick as the damp air. Elias let the silence settle, not rushing. A few people shifted, coats rustling. Someone coughed once, dry and nervous. Then a woman near the middle rose slowly, as if standing required permission from her own bones. She was in her late 30s, maybe early 40s, dark hair pulled back tight, face pale but composed, eyes red-rimmed but steady. She wore a plain gray sweater and jeans, nothing that drew attention, yet every head turned. She carried no notes, no Bible, just herself and whatever weight she had dragged down those stairs. Elias stood halfway, gesturing to the music stand if she wanted it. She shook her head once. No, she would speak from where she stood. "My name is Sarah Thompson," she said. Her voice was low, almost conversational at first, like she was telling a neighbor about a bad dream. "I drove 3 hours to be here tonight. I saw one of your flyers taped to a gas pump outside Knoxville. The word hell caught my eye. I almost kept driving, but something said turn around. So here I am." A few murmurs, soft, sympathetic. Mrs. Hanley nodded once, like she recognized the impulse to flee and return anyway. Sarah took a breath that trembled at the edges. "I'm not here because I saw my dead husband or my mama at the window. I'm here because I went somewhere worse. And I came back. But not before I paid a price I can still feel in my bones." She paused, eyes moving slowly around the circle, meeting gazes without flinching. "I grew up going to church off and on. Youth group, Bible camp, the usual. But by high school, I was curious. Too curious. Ouija boards at sleepovers, tarot cards, little spells from books I found online. It felt like power, like I was finally in control of something." Her fingers twisted together once, then stilled. "In my early 20s, I got deeper. I married a man who believed the same things I did. We called it Luciferianism, made it sound enlightened, spiritual, not devil worship. But that's what it was. We read the books, did the rituals, chanted names, offered blood. And one night, in 2006, under a red moon, I made the pledge." The word hung there. Pledge. Several people inhaled sharply. Mark, in the back row, leaned forward slightly, elbows on knees, eyes locked on her. "I spoke the words out loud," Sarah continued. "I offered my soul. I thought I was trading up. Power, knowledge, freedom. I thought I could walk away whenever I wanted." Her voice cracked on the last word. She swallowed. Hard. "I was wrong." The lights buzzed louder, or maybe it only felt that way. "That same night," she said, "my soul left my body. I didn't die, not the way people think. I just separated. One second I was lying in bed, the next I was falling, dragged down by things with claws. Not hands, claws. They hooked into me and pulled. No light, no tunnel, just black. Thick black that pressed in until I couldn't breathe, except I wasn't breathing anymore." She closed her eyes for a second, then opened them again. "When it stopped, I was there. Hell. Not a concept, not a feeling, an actual place. Pitch dark, but I could see, because they wanted me to see. Fire everywhere, but not normal fire. It burned without light, without end. My skin peeled away in layers, melted off, grew back just to burn again. The pain wasn't sharp. It was deep, endless. Like every regret I'd ever had turned into acid in my veins." A woman in the front row pressed a hand to her mouth. Samuel's mother pulled him closer without thinking. "And the screams," Sarah said. "Mine. Others. Everywhere. No rest, no sleep, no pause. Just torment stacking on torment. Bugs, huge black things, crawled over me, burrowed in, ate. Demons tore at what was left, laughing like it was funny. They said, 'You wanted this. You called us. You pledged.' They told me I'd never see my family again, never see light, never escape." She stopped, breathing shallow. Elias watched her carefully, ready to step in if she needed, but she shook her head. No, she would finish. "I heard voices I recognized," she went on, quieter now. "Famous ones. Elvis Presley, his voice, but twisted, screaming in pain. Johnny Cash, howling like he'd never stop. Others too, people I'd listened to, admired. They were there. Because they'd made their own pledges, one way or another, and the devil collects. He doesn't wait until you die. He takes what you offer and replaces you. My body walked around up here. People saw me, talked to me, but it wasn't me. Something else wore my skin, a demon, for almost a year. Rinna's knuckles went white around her cup. Daniel Mercer, in the last row, stopped writing. His pen hovered, unmoving. People stared, gaping mouths. Sarah's voice thinned. I begged, I screamed for death, but death doesn't come twice. Then, light. A hand reached through the dark, scarred, strong, gentle. Jesus. He didn't say much. He just took my hand. The fire backed away. The demons fled shrieking. The bugs scattered. The pain eased. He pulled me up, back through the black, faster and faster, until I slammed into my body again. She wiped her face with her sleeve. I woke on the floor. My family was there, mom, dad, brothers. They'd prayed over me for months. They knew something was wrong. They burned frankincense, myrrh, anointed me with oil. When the smoke rose, I saw flames, not hellfire, holy fire, and I broke. I sobbed. I apologized to Jesus over and over. He spoke once. Everything will be okay. Testify. Tell them what waits if they turn away. Tell them the cost of worshiping anything but me. Sarah looked around the circle again, slower this time. I've seen people who thought they were safe, Christians who lived for the world, drinking, gambling, chasing pleasure, filling their heads with darkness while saying grace over meals. They thought a prayer was enough. It wasn't. Sin unrepented chains you. Pledges, occult games, secret deals, even little rebellions collect interest in that place. She took a final breath. Hell is real. It's torment without rest, burning flesh, devouring things, mocking voices, eternal dark, cut off from God, from love, from hope. But Jesus came for me. He can come for anyone. If you're dabbling, stop. If you're running, turn back. If you've pledged anything to the dark, renounce it. Call his name. His grip is stronger. She sat. The room stayed quiet for a long beat. No one clapped. No one rushed to speak. A few people cried silently. Elias bowed his head first, then the rest followed. He prayed, short, simple, fierce, for mercy, for breaking chains, for open eyes while breath remained. When he finished, Sarah stayed seated, shoulders sagging like she'd carried the words too long. People rose slowly, some touching her shoulder as they passed, murmuring thanks or just, God bless you. Samuel lingered near the stairs, watching her. Daniel closed his notebook with a soft snap, eyes distant, as if recalculating something fundamental. Outside, the night air was crisp and clear, almost gentle. But Ashford didn't feel cleared. It felt marked, like a town that had heard one warning too many and couldn't unhear it. Elias locked the door behind the last person and stood on the steps, looking at the ridgeline black against the stars. Somewhere beyond it, the research complex slept under its harmless name. Somewhere closer, a boundary had thinned again. He didn't know how much longer the basement would hold them all. He only knew they couldn't stop coming. Not now. Not while the door was still cracked open.